Coconut, coconut, and coconut once again. What's up, 23% Nation? This is your man, Coach D. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm back with fruit of the day, the one and only coconut. So, are you crazy for coconuts? Do you love coconuts? Right, so maybe you're like Coach D, and maybe you do. Whatever the case may be, please listen on. Why? Because we're about to dive just a little deeper into the wonderful world of coconuts. All right, first up, a little bit of background information. Coconuts are the large seeds of coconut palms. Also, coconut meat can be purchased in many different forms, including frozen, shredded, dried, or fresh. So there we have it, guys. Just a little bit of background information about the one and only coconut. All right, now it's time for a few fun facts. Did you know that the coconut has lots, and I mean lots and lots and lots of uses? Well, if you didn't know, check it out. There's coconut milk, there's coconut water, there's coconut flour, there's coconut oil, there's coconut sugar, coconut vinegar, yes, vinegar, and lastly, we have the coconut meat. Now, no, we're not talking about the muscle of an animal. Instead, we're talking about the fresh fruit itself, more commonly known as coconut meat. So, take a look at the picture. Look at all the different ways in which we can use coconuts. So, fun facts, plenty of them. We now know that the coconut has a myriad of uses. All right, it's time for the not so fun facts of coconuts. Coconuts, unfortunately, are high in saturated fat, a controversial fat that may be harmful if consumed in high amounts. Also, coconut meat packs quite a few calories, right? So for those of us who are looking to lose a little bit of weight, you may want to be careful on how much coconut you consume per day. Last but not least, some people may be allergic to coconuts. Oh no, say it ain't so, Coach D. That's right, guys. So if you eat coconuts and you experience any type of adverse allergic reaction, then please stay away from them. And I'm sorry, this is my last point, last not so fun fact, is that many dried and pre-packaged coconut products are heavily sweetened. Oh no, which significantly increases the sugar content. So once again, if you're looking to lose a little bit of weight, you definitely want to go with fresh coconut products, not the pre-packaged ones. So there we have it, guys. A few not so fun facts about coconuts. All right, it's time to dive into the 5-20 rule, which basically is all about food labels. Technically, the 5-20 rule is a guide. It's a guide that lets us know whether or not a food product or a food item is a good source or not a good source of any particular nutrient. Now, when we talk about the 5-20 rule, we have to talk about percent daily value, abbreviated percent DV. Let's go ahead and take a look at our sample food label. As you can see, there are some portions highlighted in lavender, some portions are highlighted in yellow, and some portions are highlighted in blue. Now, the reason for these highlights is to simply demonstrate how to better read and understand a food label when it comes to the 5-20 rule. Now, the portions that are highlighted in lavender or purple, percent daily value, well, basically, it's all about percentages, right? Some percentages are high, some percentages are low. We'll get into that more specifically in a little while. But first, let's pay attention to the nutrients that are highlighted in yellow. Total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium. Unfortunately, these nutrients do the body a lot of harm. In other words, they do promote disease within the body temple. So when it comes to the 5-20 rule and the percent daily value scale, you definitely want to make sure that these nutrients are at the lower end of the scale. If we take a look at the nutrients that are highlighted in light blue, such as dietary fiber, Vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, and calcium, which basically represent all vitamins and minerals, well, those nutrients do just the opposite of the yellow nutrients. Rather than promote disease, they instead promote health and wellness within the body temple. So if anything, you want to make sure that these nutrients are at the higher end of the scale, right? So now let's be a little more specific. If a food item offers 0% to 9% DV of any particular nutrient, then that food item is not a good source of that particular nutrient. Next, if the food item offers 10% to 19% DV of any nutrient, then that food item is considered a good source of that particular nutrient. Lastly, if the food item offers 20% DV or greater, then that food item is said to be an excellent source of that particular nutrient. So there you have it, guys, the ins and outs about the 5-20 rule. Okay, now that we're familiar with the 5-20 rule, we can now dive into the nutrition facts, shall we? So for today's lecture, we're going to say that a single serving of coconut meat, right, is equal to only 1 cup of coconut meat. So in this 1 cup, here's what we're going to get. Calories, 283. Now some of you may shy away. Why? Because that's quite a few calories. But remember something. Coconuts are naturally high in fat. So that's the reason for the high caloric content. Next up, 3 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, and look, 27 grams of fat. Now, here's something that we have to understand about coconuts' fat content, is that the majority of the fat in coconuts, right, is going to be saturated fat, which was mentioned earlier. Now, here's what we need to understand about saturated fat, is that oftentimes saturated fat is considered the villain, meaning it's the bad fat. Well, allow Coach D to kind of blow up that myth. All saturated fats are not created equally. That's right, guys. You got to understand something, that both plant products as well as animal products both contain saturated fats. But here's the thing. It's the saturated fat that comes from the animal products that's not good. However, the saturated fats that come from plant foods are good. Why? Because basically there are 3 different types of saturated fats. You have long chain fatty acids, you have medium chain fatty acids, and then you have short chain fatty acids. Well, here's the good news. The fatty acids, the saturated fatty acids that are in coconuts are the medium chain fatty acids, which simply means they have a different chemical structure as well as a different chemical composition that when enters the human body produces very different results than, let's say, the short or the long chain fatty acids, right? So I say all that to simply say this. Please, don't be afraid of the saturated fatty acids that are in coconuts. Why? Because they behave differently when entering the body. So they promote health, not disease. So hopefully that helps to reduce your anxiety when it comes to the saturated fats that are found in coconuts. Continuing on, only 5 grams of sugar, 7 grams of fiber. Amazing. Now, let's take a look at manganese. Coming in at 60% DV, well, 60% is greater than 20%, so 1 cup of fresh coconut meat is an excellent source of manganese. Then we have selenium coming in at 15% DV. Well, this simply means that 1 cup of coconut is a good source of selenium, which, by the way, is a mineral and an antioxidant. Next up is copper, coming in at a whopping 44% DV. Amazing. So yes, coconuts are an excellent source of copper. Then we have phosphorus coming in at 13% DV. Well, based on the 520 rule, 13% is between 10 and 19%. So yes, coconuts are a good source of phosphorus. Then we have potassium coming in at only 6%. So no, unfortunately, coconuts are not a good source of potassium. Next up is iron coming in at 11%. So yes, coconuts, or at least 1 cup of coconuts, is a good source of iron. And lastly is zinc coming in at 10% DV. Amazing. So yes, coconuts are a good source of zinc. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the nutrition facts about the one and only coconuts. All right, now it's time to dive into the health benefits. But before we do, Coach D wants to drop a few wisdom dimes. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk with you about the principle of cause and effect. Now, some of us may already be familiar with this principle. Why? Because it's one of the 7 Hermetic principles. But basically what this principle states is that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. There is no such thing as chance and or luck. In other words, everything happens for a reason. So what does this all mean, Coach D? It simply means that the health benefits are the effects, whereas the nutrients contents are the causes. So in other words, if you want to be healthy, you have to cause it. If you want to be diseased, well, you have to cause that too. So for the sake of today's lecture, let's focus on health. Let's focus on wellness, right? Let's focus on eating more coconuts. So here's what happens when you put coconuts inside of the human body. It boosts your heart health. It supports weight loss. It aids in digestive health. It stabilizes your blood sugar. Now here's the really cool part, is that coconuts may improve immunity. That's right, guys. Now, there is one special nutrient that I want to bring to your attention today, and it happens to be called lauric acid. That's right, guys, lauric acid. Now, as stated earlier, the majority of the fat in coconuts is saturated fat. So yes, lauric acid is a saturated fatty acid. Now, here's the thing. As I mentioned earlier, the majority of the fatty acids that are in coconuts are the medium chain saturated fatty acids. So yes, lauric acid is a medium chain saturated fatty acid. Now here's the really amazing thing about lauric acid, is that when it enters the body, it's converted into another compound called monolaurin. Now, monolaurin and lauric acid do an amazing job at destroying anything that can cause disease within the human body. So it targets viruses, it targets fungi, and they also target bacteria that aren't supposed to be living inside of your body, right? So in other words, it's antiviral, it's antifungal, and antibacterial. Now, believe it or not, there's been a lot of research done on lauric acid. And here's the good news. There's even research about lauric acid, or shall we say coconuts in general, being very helpful for people who have genital as well as, I forget the other type, but herpes. That's right. Believe it or not, there has been research done on coconuts and their effects on herpes. Now, the evidence isn't quite clear as to whether or not lauric acid is a panacea and it definitely helps to cure herpes, but in some studies it did, some studies it was not so quite. Okay, so whatever you want to believe, hopefully you believe that lauric acid, or shall we say coconuts, is definitely good for the body. And last but not least, coconuts may benefit your brain. So there we have it, guys, the health benefits of coconuts. All right, it's now time to talk about food. That's right, guys. Vegan food. Say hello to forksoverknives.com. By the way, there's a movie entitled Forks Over Knives, which I highly recommend you watch. So as usual, I went to the website, did just a little bit of research, and look at what I found. Two amazing vegan coconut recipes that I would like to share with you right now. The first one is entitled Millet and Coconut Curry. Take a look at the picture. Looks amazing. Our second recipe is chocolate chip coconut pancakes. Yummy. Love pancakes. Now, if your mouth is watering, and I hope it is, all you have to do is go to the description box. Why? Because I'm providing a link to these actual recipes. Now, click on the link, and here's what you're going to find. A lot of useful information. Forksoverknives.com is amazing. They're going to provide you with the ingredient list, the cooking time, and guess what? The instructions as to how to make the dishes. That's right. So, do me a favor. Click on the link, make them, taste them, come back to the video, and let me know exactly how they taste. So there we have it, guys. Not one, but two amazing vegan coconut recipes from forksoverknives.com. All right, 23% Nation, I hear you. A lot of you say, well, Coach D, thank you for those recipes. Coach D, thank you for the fun facts. I even enjoy the not so fun facts. But what I really want to know is, when should I eat more coconuts? Well, 23% Nation, the perfect day, and I do mean the perfect day, is Nature Day. What? Nature Day? Yes, Nature Day. Guys, Nature Day happens to be the first day of the 23% challenge. Now, some of us may not be familiar with the challenge. Some of us may not have ever heard of the challenge before today. Well, if that's you, I just want to let you know, in a nutshell, that the 23% challenge is basically a 7-day wellness program. Actually, it's a monthly 7-day wellness program, meaning it lasts the first 7 days of every single month. That's right, guys, the first all the way through the 7th. Now, here's the cool part, is that Nature Day is the first day of the challenge, which simply means that Nature Day is the first day of every single month, right? So whether it's July 1st, August 1st, or December 1st, it's always Nature Day. Now, perhaps you are now intrigued about Nature Day, and maybe you want to know more about it. Well, guys, simply put, Nature Day is all about getting closer to nature. Now, yes, there are lots of things you can do to get closer to nature. You can go to the zoo and pet the animals. You can go take a swim in a lake, or you can go skinny dipping in the ocean, right? But for today's lecture, we want to get closer to nature by simply eating more plants. That's right, guys. It's time to put the good stuff in and take the bad stuff out. So, maybe you're the type of person who wants to lose a little bit of weight. Maybe you're the type of person who simply just wants to eat more plants. Maybe you're the type of person who is considering transitioning to a more whole food plant-based diet. Well, if that's you, Coach D wants to offer 3 avenues to help make that transition a little easier. So, say hello to a 3% vegan, a 13% vegan, as well as a 23% vegan. Let's first start with a 3% vegan. A 3% vegan is anyone, man, woman, or child, who only eats plant foods and drinks only water only 1 day out of an entire month. That's right, guys, just 1 day solely dedicated to plant foods and water. Now, a 13% vegan is anyone, man, woman, or child, who only eats plant foods and drinks only water only 4 days out of an entire month. Now, you can approach this 2 different ways. It could be the first 4 days of the month, or, providing the month has 4 weeks, you could do 1 day per week. Lastly is a 23% vegan, which technically is what Coach D considers himself, right? Now, 23% vegan means you only eat plant foods and drink only water the first 7 days of the month. So what does that mean? Well, it simply means that I only eat from the 5 food groups of plant foods. So now that brings up a question. What are the 5 food groups of plant foods? Well, very simply, they are fruits, all vegetables and herbs, whole grains, legumes, meaning beans and peas, and let's not forget about number 5, all nuts and seeds. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We now know much more about Nature Day. All right. Now, perhaps you are now really interested and really motivated and really inspired to tackle on becoming a 3%, 13%, or 23% vegan. Well, if that's you, I now want to offer you a little bit of advice, right? So say hello to Coach D's tips for Nature Day. Tip number 1, go to your local grocery store. Now, when you go, you're only going to go to 2 places in the store. The first place that you're going to go to is the produce section. Why the produce section? Well, because that's where all of the fresh plant foods are located. The second place that you're going to go to is the freezer aisle. Why the freezer aisle? Because believe it or not, frozen plant foods can be just as nutritious as their fresh counterparts. My second tip is to go visit a local farmer's market. That's right, guys. Farmers markets are amazing for a few reasons. Also, they do have advantages over grocery stores. Here are a few of those advantages. Number 1, farmers markets only carry organic produce, or shall we say plant foods, which simply means no herbicides, no pesticides, no chemicals. Also, because the food, or shall we say the produce, is grown locally, that simply means less transportation time. Now that savings is then passed on to you and I, meaning the end consumer. Now, maybe you want to visit a farmer's market, but you don't quite know where one is located. It's easy. Go to Google, type in farmers markets near me, and Google will give you your desired results within less than half of a second. Third tip is go to the prepared dishes section of your local grocery store. Now, while you're there, walk on over to the prepared dishes section. Now, some grocery stores may term it the kitchen. Whatever the case may be, walk on over, talk to the person behind the counter, and ask them if they offer any vegan options. Now, hopefully they do. Ask for a sample taste, and providing you like it, go ahead, purchase the food by the pound or maybe even 2 pounds. Lastly is to go visit a vegan restaurant. That's right, guys. It's time for us to start supporting the vegan community. So here's what you're going to do. Go to Google, type in vegan restaurants near me. Once again, within less than half of a second, Google will give you your desired results. Now, gather up your belongings, get in your car, and drive on over. Now, if you decide to go to a vegan restaurant, do 2 things. Number 1, let them know that Coach D sent you. And number 2, be sure to order something with coconuts in it. Now, I also want to say this about vegan restaurants, is that they are amazing. Why are they amazing? Number 1 is because they hire vegan chefs who know not only how to cook plant foods the right way, but they also know which plant foods to combine to give you the most nutritious, most delicious dishes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 4 tips to help make your Nature Day successful. All right, it's time for our question of the day, which comes from yours truly and the rest of the 23% nation. We have inquiry minds. So we want to know, true or false, coconuts are seeds. So simply write your answer in the comment box below. Guys, I want to thank you for watching. I definitely want to thank you for listening. As always, let's eat well, feel well, think well, do well, be well. This is your man, Coach D. Now, before I sign out, I gotta ask you to please subscribe, like, and share the video, especially if you love coconuts. And please, don't forget to use our three-word mantra. It's hashtag eat more plants. As stated before, my name is Coach D. I'm signing out, but always remember to take care, God bless, and never ever forget that Coach D loves you.